This is a review of a recent Chinese documentary series produced by Tencent, 奇遇人生. Hi, you're watching AvenueX, where a junkie on good storytelling shares her thoughts, knowledge, and occasional weird ideas on stories and how they're told. 奇遇人生 without an English title. Yeah, believe it or not, they didn't actually produce an official title for this program. 奇遇 means magical or unusual encounters. 人生 means life. So 奇遇人生 actually explains really what this program is about. There are 10 episodes in total, and in each episode you would meet the host, which is anchor. Her name is Aya. From Taiwan, very well known within the sort of Chinese-speaking regions. She first started as a singer, and then actor, and also a host for various TV programs. She would be the person who goes through all 10 episodes, and in each episode there is one or multiple invited guests who are very well known within the Chinese-speaking regions. There are actors, singers, musicians, all kinds of people who are relatively high profile. And in each episode, this host, Aya, would pair up with this artist, and they would go on a journey to explore a particular geolocation and a particular group of people. It is their encounter, their sort of magical encounter of their own life, but then with other people that they would otherwise never meet. There have been many entertainment programs that are named 真人秀, which is real people show. So, you know, the shows that actually invites famous people to portray them in a realistic environment, whether they're going on a trip or whether they are opening a restaurant together or whether they're going on some kind of adventure. This is a very popular sort of form of entertainment, but this one is really different. The program was very low profile. When it first came out, very few people actually knew about it. But then word spread, and a lot of people who joined watching this program later, and they all give it a very high score. This program, 奇遇人生, is I think one of the highest scoring documentary that came out of China in recent years. It is really well done, and it's done in a way that is very unpretentious. When you think about real life, real people shows, a lot of those are really designed purely for entertainment purposes, and they actually have a script. And people actually have to play out certain plot and roles, but pretending it to be real. For this one, I wouldn't say it would be 100% without some kind of planning, because we can argue that all documentaries are still subjective. It could never really be purely realistic or objective. But I would say 奇遇人生 as a documentary series is really the most authentic or realistic show of real people, real celebrities in their daily life, going on this particular trip that's made in China. There are certain things that happens within this documentary that really shows it's not scripted, and it doesn't try to impose a very strong kind of meaning or the purpose of this process in those episodes. It's not trying to arrive at a definitive end in each episode. In many episodes, you would feel that they were just sitting there and filming people, and they don't quite know exactly what will be the end result of this episode. Maybe nothing would happen. Maybe what they've designed in the beginning or hoped that would happen never took place, but it's still okay. So this is a very relaxed, very stripped to its sort of bare essence type of documentary making. I haven't seen a similar production like this produced in China, and I think a lot of audience who watched this program were really taken by the relaxed way of storytelling, but absolutely beautiful actually cinematography, and this really unpretentious way of putting people on camera and then filming what they are like in real life, whether it's the celebrities who joins on this adventure or the people that actually they meet. They go to different countries, different locations, meet those people. Most of the entertainment real people shows that you see come out of China are just so entertainment heavy that you may laugh or you may feel entertained while you're watching it, but after that you just like, it doesn't leave imprint. It doesn't make you think about things, or you realize it is just for the show. It is just for the fun. It's all a form of acting. Unfortunately, this program doesn't have an English title. It is not really available, I think, on any official channel being translated as subtitled in English. There are many videos uploaded to YouTube about this program, but none of them are from the official channel. So I don't know if this program, this series of documentary 10 episodes, will ever really be bought by any official channels. The first episode features Xiao S, Xu Xidi, the younger sister of Da S, very famous Taiwan sort of TV anchor, TV host. It features her and Aya going on a trip to Zambia to visit elephant protection sort of group of people who work there to protect animals. And there's beautiful cinematography of Africa and their incredible experience of trying to find this little elephant that went lost. And this pilot episode actually blew people away. A lot of people didn't expect that this documentary will be made into this style, and I think it attracted its audience base right from the first episode. So if you're interested in her and then her story in Africa, that's the first episode. The second one features Chunxia, relatively lesser known, but she's like sort of a young actress and also started as a model and famous for her acting in a couple of what you would call indie or art house films in China, and features her and Aya going on a trip to the US and trying to chase down a tornado because she is fascinated about tornado. The third episode features Dou Xiao, Sean Dou. If you like watch Chinese films or TVs, you should know him. He's one of the sort of lead actor in Tribes and Empires, and I would still think he would be the perfect one to play the general in Disney's Mulan, but unfortunately it's not him. It features him and Aya going on a trip to Indonesia and trying to climb the tallest peak in Oceania, which is Carton's Pyramid. That episode is really cool because they were trying to go there and they waited for 5 days for the weather to clear because they couldn't go up there because of the rainy seasons, and then the helicopter wouldn't be able to fly up to the base camp. And during that long wait, how different people reacted to that really frustrating period is absolutely fascinating to watch. And if you are a huge Dou Xiao fan already, you're gonna be a bigger fan after you watch this episode. He is such a cool guy, and apparently he's a huge amateur climber. He has actually climbed a lot of mountains already. Very impressive. So very interesting episode. The fourth episode features Mao Buyi, the recently really popular songwriter and singer that sort of came out of a talent show in China and just like went big because of his absolute talent and genius in writing songs. So he went on a journey with Aya to Taiwan, to elderly persons' care homes, and then meeting the young group of musicians who actually create the programs for those elderly people. Very heartwarming episode, and he tells his story about himself and his family members. Fifth episode features Pu Shu. It used to be like a really popular singer, but he went on a very different sort of career journey than most of the popular people back then would have gone to. So now he's at a place that is I wouldn't say very easy for him, okay, or for anyone, but he is such a character, and they went to Cuba to meet independent musicians. And you would see, like in this episode, you will get what I mean is this is a really realistic documentary. Not very ideal situations happens with the guest, and they actually film it. They don't try to run away from things that are not going according to plan or not looking good on camera or whatever. They just film it. I didn't expect they would actually put that on camera, but they did, and it's interesting. Episode 6 features Song Jia, a very famous Chinese actress going to Macau to meet a female boxing champion. She sort of tells her own stories and that person's story too, so also a very strong episode. Then we go to episode 7, which features Fan Xiaoxuan, another great talent in music. She started her career many years ago, and in ways that she didn't really like. So she got famous, she sang those songs that's not really her music and her style, but she was huge. But then she decided, I want to do my stuff. I don't care about what other people want me to be. So there was a period where people call her like, being rebellious or whatever, but then people realized later, she really is a talent, and she likes to do what she likes to do. So she actually has a really strong fan base of people who appreciate artists being genuine and true to themselves. Instead of sort of succumb to the commercialized world of music industry, she sticks with her own passion. She's a very interesting figure, and she on this trip, goes to Canas Lake in Xinjiang province within China to meet ethnic group people who want to bring their music to the popular sort of music world, trying to introduce their ethnic music to a broader audience. So that's a very interesting episode because they have certain conflicts in terms of how they should produce the music between Fan Xiaoxuan and those ethnic groups people, but then they sort of come to a kind of agreement at the end, and there's really beautiful music played throughout this episode. If you're interested in ethnic music and particular ways of singing that are just unheard of, like outside of this ethnic group, and there's just the most authentic way of singing without any like post-production. They just write songs and sing around the fire. It's beautiful. That episode, I love it. Highly recommend you check that one out. Episode 8 features Li Dan. He is a recently really popular talk show person. So he started as a writer for talk shows and then kind of became in his own right very famous celebrity. He's really funny and he's really young, but he has a way of looking at things that makes you feel like he's much older than his actual age. And he has a famous saying, which is 人间不值得. It's really hard to translate that into English. I would say living is not worthwhile, or live as a person is not worthwhile, or life is not worthwhile. But it is not really saying that life is meaningless or worthless. It is just a way of looking at things when you know in life there's so much that you can sort of keep under your control. There's so much things that frustrate you, you can't do anything about, and at the end you can only just sign and say it's not worth it. So he has that famous saying, and in this episode he goes to Japan with Aya, and then meeting another very famous people actually within the sort of Chinese community who immigrated to Japan many years ago and now is working as a politician. It's also very fascinating because they talked about a lot of things about the difference between Japan and China, and then sort of little, almost like a live-in philosophy things through their interview with a monk of a temple there. And there's a conversation carried out through, over drinks in small pubs. He actually leaked in that episode that he's already married, which wasn't public before that episode aired. So when that episode aired, it went on trending, and people say he actually already married his girlfriend, because everybody knows he has a girlfriend. They both are on Weibo, but nobody actually knew they actually already are married. So it's really interesting. It just shows you, you know, like, this documentary really just films everything and put it out there. Episode 9 is featuring two people, very unusual, but it has two guests. One is Zhao Lixing, an actor, a sort of well-established actor that became really popular recently. And also Bai Jugang, who's a young musician, very talented. And they went together to Iceland and to meet an installation artist locally in Iceland, and trying to bring that so very heavy metal installation to a place and then light a fire and sing. It's so interesting, that episode, because of the landscape that they filmed in Iceland is just fascinating. It talks about people's relationship with nature, their beliefs in elves and other things in the land, and what is the purpose really of doing that installation, which really isn't about money, about anything, and nobody will notice apart from this artist and his close group of people, but they still go and do it. And it's so relaxing, that episode, and so beautiful. The landscape is just wow, mind-blowing camera work. Highly recommend that episode too if you're interested in just in the landscape of Iceland. It's just fascinating. Then the last episode features Chen Xuedong, and he goes on a trip with Aya to Yunnan province, sort of a southwest Chinese province, to meet a film or cinema projectionist who travels in remote places, villages, to put up screens and then project film reels, old films, really old films. That episode broke my heart. Chen Xuedong, as a young actor, is often portrayed, and I think the public or the popular opinion of him usually is not very positive, because he became famous through a series of films, 小时代, which is very highly contested anyway. People have all kinds of tags on him, like, you don't really have talent, you can't act. He still is not really a good actor, I have to agree. But that doesn't mean he's a bad person or something, but the popular opinions of him is not really positive. But then throughout this episode, you see him as a real person. It really changes people's perception. If they had a really negative perception about him, now I think it would be turned on to the more positive end. Because they see him as a real person. He talks about his personal experience, but also through their conversation with this film projectionist who has a really sad and still ongoing background story that just breaks your heart. You start to see he is also just another real people. Like, if he's your friend, you probably really like this person. Whether he's a good actor is not relevant. That I think he's in many ways misunderstood or misrepresented. I think this documentary episode actually helps him a lot in terms of pulling that personal image, to the more positive direction. But that episode in itself, the projectionist story is wow. It's just like wow. It's real life people. His story, his wife, his dead kid, his living daughter's story is just like really heart-wrenching. I don't want to spoil that for you if you want to check it out yourself, but I think it's emotionally, I think it's the strongest episode throughout the whole series. So when you look at the structure from episode 1 to episode 10, they really do know what they're doing. They designed the pace of the whole series very well, but then each episode is made in a way that's consistent in style, but then different in whatever target or theme they want to hit, but then not being actually really controlling of where things go. And throughout the whole thing, you can tell this team, from the producer, from the cinematographer, the director, everybody, they really know their shit. That's just what I want to say. And these are professional people who have ambitions about what they want to do, and they're putting out work that previously haven't been done like this. And it's extremely refreshing. I absolutely love that. I want to see more stuff like that coming out of China that just makes you think, wow, we can actually make things like this. Not just stupid IP, fantasy dramas that are just completely like waste of time and energy, which is still happening, by the way. A couple of new dramas are coming out in December. Let's hope at least 1 or 2 of them are good. I think they're probably good, and I've been wanting to make just sort of a 2018 the best Chinese dramas video for a while, but then because there are a couple of new dramas that will come out in December that are highly likely to become one of those good dramas, that will be on my list. So I'm waiting for those things to air and then decide whether they deserve a place on my list. So that video will come, but probably very late this month. Thank you for watching AvenueX. I'll see you in my next video. Meanwhile, live long and happy drama watching.